And we have nothing on that. So let's go to item number 6.
Minutes of the September 9th, 2019 meeting.
Move to approve the minutes as printed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, update Rock Island. I-74 bridge construction on Tuesday, September 24th, 2019. The Downtown Rock Island Library will host a free talk on the I-74 bridge from the corridor manager, George Ryan, beginning at 2 p.m. Whether you are a construction or engineer buff, or just curious, this is a chance to learn more about the new bridge and its progress. For more information, please visit www.rockislandlibrary.org or call 309-732-7323. Item number 2, Thursday night Groove concert. Get your groove on with Jason Carl and the whole damn band at Schwiebert Park, sponsored by Arc of the Quad Cities, on September 26, 2019. Thursday Night Groove starts at 6 p.m. with concessions opening, including grilled items like hot dogs and brats. Happy Joe's Pizza and Brent River Brewing Company will have seasonal drafts on tap. Then at 6:30 p.m., free dance lessons begin, all of which are followed by a concert at 7 to 9 p.m. Guests are encouraged to bring lawn chairs. Admission is free, so come on out and enjoy the fun. Item number 3. Free leaf bag collection. The City of Rock Island is providing free collection for its residential refuse customers. Bags will be available September 30th, 2019, and collection will begin Monday, October 7th. Customers must place the leaves in approved paper yard waste bags and place them at the normal refuse collection location and days. Free leaf bags may be picked up at various locations throughout the city. Please visit www.rigov.org for more information. And lastly, Columbus Day refuse schedule. During the week of Columbus Day holiday, refuse, yard waste, and recycling will be on the normal collection schedule. The drop-off center located at Millennium Waste, 13606 Knoxville Road, Milan, will be open on Saturday from 7 a.m. till noon. And that is all I have for that. Item number 8.
A special ordinance declaring a 1997 pumper fire truck as surplus property, authorizing disposal of said property, and authorizing the purchase of a 2020 Pierce Aero pumper fire truck.
Move to consider the rules, or move to consider, suspend the rules, and pass the ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
I'm sorry.
Any discussion?
Who was the second?
The second was by James Forgettis.
Okay.
We'll get back to that. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Roll
I'm
call.
s-
Roll call vote.
Roll call, I'm sorry.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Proclamation? Okay. All right. You have it on yours?
No.
Okay. Item number 9.
An ordinance amending Chapter 14, Article 4 of the Code of Ordinances regarding the Arts Commission.
Move to consider, suspend the rules, and pass the ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item number 10.
An ordinance amending Chapter 11, Article 3 of the Code of Ordinances regarding the Beautification Commission.
Move to consider, suspend the rules, and pass the ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Okay, item number 11, please.
A special ordinance establishing a handicap parking space at 2803 Sixth Avenue in front of the west entry door.
Move to consider, suspend the rules, and pass the ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
yes,
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item number 12.
A special ordinance establishing a handicap parking space at 909 21st Street.
move to consider, suspend the rules, and pass the ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? All right, hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes,
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Okay, let's move on to item number 13.
Claims for the week of September 6, 2019 through September 12, 2019 in the amount of $1,539,064.25, and payroll for the weeks of August 26, 2019 through September 8, 2019 in the amount of $1,482,696.80.
Move to allow the claims and the payroll.
second,
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Geenan. Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
yes,
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item number 14.
ACH payments for the month of August in the amount of $3,689,508.72.
Motion.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve the ACH payments.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Geenan. Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
yes,
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Number 15.
Purchase card claims for the period of July 27, 2019 through August 26, 2019 in the amount of $54,599.44.
move to approve the purchase card claims.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes,
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item number 16.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding bids for the fiber optic cable Phase 12 intersection cameras project, recommending the bid be awarded to Tri-City Electric Company of Davenport, Iowa, in the amount of $114,987.55.
move to award the bid as recommended and authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes,
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item number 17.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding bids for an emergency demolition at 531 20th Avenue, recommending the bid be awarded to Valley Construction Company of Rock Island, Illinois, in the amount of $19,525.
move to award the bid as recommended and authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments?
I need to recuse myself from this vote due to the nature of my employment.
Thank you, Alderman Parker. Anything else? Roll call, please.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes,
Pulis.
Aye.
5 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item number 18.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding an RFQ for a consultant to create the business registration program, recommending the selection of Dana Murphy of Aledo, Illinois for the project in an amount not to exceed $22,000.
Move to table the agenda item.
Second.
I'm sorry, we'll move to table.
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to table this. Any question, any discussions?
I suppose I should expand on that. So as the city council stated during our recent goal-setting session, we're looking at a comprehensive economic development services agreement. And while I appreciate this initiative, we've been wanting to do a business registration for some time. If we are going to be pursuing a more comprehensive services agreement that will include things like point of contact, business registration, marketing, strategic planning, et cetera, it occurs to me that it would make more sense to have all of that done under one service agreement as opposed to a piecemeal operation.
Any other comments?
It gives us a time to reapproach Dari and see if a partnership could happen with the study too.
So I have already, and they had the opportunity to apply for this. This is just just to build a list, so it has nothing to do with any, matter of fact, it sets the stage for any future work. But this is something that is, again, we've talked about for a long time. It's important we get in touch with all of our small businesses, find out if any of them are getting ready to retire and what we can do, and it's, otherwise you're delaying this thing for quite some time. And this would be something you'd have to do anyway, so it isn't anything that would interfere with any future efforts.
Would it not, so whoever, would it not make sense that the person that goes out and makes the point of contact to figure out these businesses, figure out who owns them, contact information, could also at the same time or shortly thereafter be the same person that follows up with them with informing them of the facade improvement program, CURLIF program, a more comprehensive
It may or may not be that person, depending on what an agreement would state, and this would have an email contact list, so you'd be able to send that out and do that type of information and change a point of contact or whatever. So this would, I mean, this is something that we need to move forward on, I believe. I don't think we're harming anything by moving forward on this.
I have a question, if
Sure.
I may. Is this the sort of work that's done door to door or
It
on the
is.
phone or on the computer?
Dana's here, she's been doing this work in Aledo, she'd be willing to come up and talk to you about it.
Well, how long do we have it tabled for? Is that what the motion is before us?
When you don't table it to a particular date set, it's tabled until we proactively retrieve it from the table.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, well, let's call the vote.
I'm increasingly becoming the
Back on the
parliamentarian
motion
around here.
before we-
Can we hear from the lady about how
Sure.
she proposes to do the work, I guess?
Yeah, Dana, you want to come up and just kind of go over your methodology?
Hi. It's a pretty simple process. I do have some experience going in and meeting with businesses. And the thing that most people don't realize is everyone has their guard up when you walk in the door, and they're not usually very forthcoming with that information, especially if they don't recognize that they have something to gain. So it's a wonderful opportunity for the city to have someone go out and meet with them and ask them some questions about their business and kind of get to know them. And then it's an opportunity to give that information back to whomever the city deems needs to have that information so that they can follow up and talk with them about your facade programs, your upstairs living, or whatever additional grants or opportunities that you may have available at this time.
What's your experience in doing this in the past?
I have been the director of Aledo Main Street for the last 5 years, and the very first thing I did when I got there was went out and introduced myself to all of the businesses and started a business directory because they didn't have one.
So you would in effect just be creating the directory, you would not be the person going back? So you'd be establishing a relationship with them, but then it wouldn't
guess
go
that-
anywhere?
I guess that would kind of depend on what you guys wanted your relationship with me to entail. I mean, most of the time, you don't get enough information off of one visit. It's a repeat process to get all of the information gathered that you're looking for and be able to provide them a service. You're not just providing your businesses a service, you're actually providing a service to yourselves, because you're getting information that you wouldn't have if someone didn't take the time to go talk with these businesses.
But this contract is to build that business registry. That's the purpose of this contract.
And did you say you have already talked to Dari about this?
Well, we talked to them when this went out, and I encouraged them to apply. They weren't interested in applying for this. I don't know why.
Any other
I don't think they have the personnel right
Find
now
out
to do
now that
it.
it's tabled, I guess.
Again, this is tabling. This is not voting the proposal down.
Right.
It is my understanding that we are currently undergoing conversations about what we want to have regarding a comprehensive economic development services agreement. And I thought that the city council made that pretty clear during a goal-setting session, that even though the goal said that we were gonna do marketing, all of those separate things, the message that the council provided staff was, we need to do this comprehensively through an economic development services agreement.
But that's a long process, and again, we wanted to get this part done because this is critically important, but I guess that's up to the council.
Well, why don't we move forward if the motion passes, the item is tabled. If it does not, then we can wait for another motion, or another motion can be brought forward. Is that correct, Mr. Morrison?
That is correct, yes.
So we'll take a vote on the motion, so,
Can I ask one more question, just for clarity? You said this is critical?
Well, I think it is, that one of the items that council's been talking to me about for the last 3 years is getting in touch with our local businesses and understanding who is getting ready to retire, and some kind of business retention program and follow-up. And this, right now, we don't have, I cannot tell you all the businesses that are in Rock Island. We don't have that listing. I can't tell you who the owners are. We don't have any contact information. We don't have any of that.
So the project is critical to us as a community or as a city. Is the timing critical? Will 2 to 4 weeks make a difference?
Well, it's not 2 to 4 weeks.
Why not?
No, in terms of the council making their decision.
Oh, I guess it is. I thought you were looking at some sort of further agreement after this, which is several months away at the earliest.
Why?
Well, you have RFPs and scope of work and cost. It would have to be rolled into the 2020 budget, so we've got some time before we can do that,
So is there,
which is fine. I mean,
is there a date certain that you could set?
No, because I'm not convinced that, no, I want to just table it until we have thoroughly vetted what we are going on with the current relationships we have in the community, what we have going, again, it seems like, as much as this is a great thing to do, and I have asked for this for a while, the message overall has been, let's be strategic about this. Let's not spend $22,000 and then have to follow up with a new person if we decide to do this through somebody else after this contract, and then has to make that first point of contact again, right? This is a good thing to do, but I think that the scope is too limited, and it defeats the purpose of it, other than just producing us a document with, here's all the contact people. Then we just have a document with contact people. We don't have that relation building that we're really trying to go for here with the business community.
this is in line with the timeline that council put out in their goal setting. So this is the timeline that you asked for. That's why we're bringing this forward right now, aside from the fact that I think it's critical. It was what council asked for.
are there any other comments? Let's go ahead and vote on the motion to table. Roll call, please.
Alderman
Aye.
Guinan. Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Nay.
5 ayes, 1 nay. Motion carried to
Okay,
table.
the item is tabled. Item number 19.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the sale of city-owned property at 708, 710 12th Street, parcel 092243, to Horacio Marquez of Coreline Investments LLC for $1,500 plus closing costs.
Move to approve the purchase agreement as recommended, authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents, and consider suspend the rules and pass the ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Burgettis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item number 20.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the proposed sale of city-owned property parcel 093806-D to Crest Hill Preservation Group LLC for $500 plus closing costs.
Move to approve the purchase agreement as recommended, authorize the city manager to execute the contract documents, and consider suspend the rules and pass the ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments?
I have a question.
Yes, sir, Alderman Spaghettis.
On the aerial photograph, that shows the property and it outlines it with a black line, does the property include the levee and the bike or hiking path?
Oh, this is the solar farm.
That's a blue line on the drawing up there.
It does, yes.
So is there some sort of an easement or something?
Most of our, much of our bike path and levee are similar to this. So it'd be the same as we have for all the others.
I guess I just wanted to be sure that we could still have access to that,
Sure, yeah, we would.
the levee and the bike path.
We do, and it is similar, there's plenty of other places along the river that are the same way.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Burgettis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item number 21.
Report from the Public Library Department regarding a resolution authorizing the sale of library-owned property at 3059 30th Street.
Move to adopt the resolution as recommended.
Aye. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments?
See it go, but excited about the long-term plans that the library has to address the issue.
Thank you. Any others? Roll call, please.
One sec. Okay. Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Burgettis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item number 22.
Report from the Finance Department regarding an adjustment to the calendar year 2019 budget for the purpose of purchasing the 2014 Ford F-59 bookmobile.
Move to approve the budget adjustment as recommended.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Burgettis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item number 23.
Report from the Finance Department regarding an adjustment to the calendar year 2019 budget for the purpose of purchasing the new Pierce Aero pumper fire truck.
Motion to approve the budget adjustment as recommended.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Burgettis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item number 24.
Report from the Finance Department regarding an adjustment to the calendar year 2019 budget, increasing the Downtown TIF Fund 201 expenditures by $60,000 to complete the Schwiebert Riverfront Park Playground project.
Move to approve the budget adjustment as recommended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
I do have a question. I know that we're replacing, is John here? Yeah, there he is. We're replacing the rubber surface on the ground. Is there any additional playground equipment or any additional equipment of any kind being purchased?
There will be some additional playground equipment. It's going to be inclusive equipment for people with limited access.
One of the most well-attended parks, and it's a big attraction. It's a great investment of our money.
I agree.
Thank you, John.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Guinan.
Aye.
Hurt,
Yes.
Brigadis.
Yes.
Swanson,
Yes,
Parker,
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item number 25.
Report from the Public Works Department regarding a joint request from Sunset Marina and Kavanaugh's Hilltop Tavern for an outdoor event on city property at Sunset Marina with live music and sound amplification on Friday, October 11, 2019, from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. for a Halloween party, a request from Kavanaugh's for the sale of alcohol at the event, and a request for the consumption of alcohol in the fenced-in area.
Motion to approve the requests as recommended, subject to complying with all liquor license regulations and subject to being closed down early if complaints are received.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman
Aye.
Guinan. Hurt,
Yes.
Brigadis.
Yes.
Swanson,
yes,
Parker,
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item number 26.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding a request from Mid-American Energy for an easement to run underground electrical lines in the area of 2011 Fourth Avenue.
Move to approve the request for an easement as recommended and authorize the city manager to execute the easement document subject to any city attorney modifications.
second,
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Guinan.
Aye.
Hurt,
Yes.
Brigadis.
Yes.
Swanson,
yes,
Parker,
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item number 27.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the City of Rock Island code enforcement policies and procedures.
Move to approve the policies and procedures document as recommended, subject to minor modifications as may be requested by HUD.
second,
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
Chandler, can you come up here and expand on what this is? Is this separate from our neighborhood stabilization program?
It is.
Okay.
We have to establish policies and procedures to do code enforcement within HUD-established areas. And there's been a large number of communities that have been stung by HUD, coming back and saying, you have to reimburse all of your funds that you've spent on code enforcement without policies and procedures. And it doesn't come out of your grant either, it comes out of your general fund. So some of these communities are coughing up $1 million plus. So having this is one of the findings that HUD had, and now we're doing this, we've submitted it to them, they like what we submitted, so we're here tonight to get these approved.
And generally, I mean, can you summarize what our CDBG code enforcement policies and procedures are? I mean,
It establishes how the code inspectors are allowed to go out and what they're allowed to go after, what they're allowed to do, how the funds that we have will be spent. So it pretty much lays out the ground rules on how we can operate with HUD funds or anyone who's going to be touching HUD funds doing code enforcement.
did our consultant help in drafting this
Yes.
at all? Okay. And then, is this only for our inspectors working in the designated, whatever the term is that we don't like
The
to-
targeted,
Yeah, the targeted
that's the
areas.
next group. That's the next item on the agenda.
Okay, so this is our policies and procedures for every single inspector for the city of Rock Island.
If they're paid for by HUD.
And which inspectors are paid for by HUD?
Oh, we have our housing rehab personnel will be operating under this as well.
Okay,
And then as we go through, once we get the targeted neighborhoods established, we'll be able to start looking at how we're going to shift personnel and allocate individuals for those areas, and they will operate under these rules as well.
Okay. And also, Randy Tweed is not the interim city manager. The memorandum has two Randy Tweed, interim city manager.
You know, we caught the other one, I guess we didn't catch that one.
Typo.
Yeah, do we?
It's all right.
I have a question. Are the fee structures, the penalties for violations the same as they are across the rest of the city? Or is it different for this particular?
Oh, no.
Targeted
As far as
area.
the City of Rock Island, we enforce the same. There's no special program or anything's accelerated or anything of the sort.
I just wondered because there was a list of all the violations and the fees in the document. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Burgettis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes,
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item number 28.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the Targeted Neighborhood Housing Stimulation Program policies and procedures.
Move to approve the TNHSP policies and procedures document as recommended.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments?
Come on back, Chandler, please.
Mr.
Thank you.
Poole.
Does this mean that this program is live? Can I send people your way?
It means that we've established the program. Now I have to do is just take it to HUD and have them say, yes, we bless the program. They've looked at it, they like it.
Yeah.
They gave us some direction, we made the changes. So we're up now to get it approved by council, then we submit it to HUD for acceptance. So we're geared up. I would say, by all means, send people our way, so now we can maybe start putting them in the queue and start figuring out how we're gonna move forward on this. We will be addressing how to reallocate staff appropriately, using one we just approved. But we're putting all our pieces together, and I know it took a long time to get where we are, but it's one of those things that we had to do it right.
Yeah. I appreciate that. So do you know yet who the staff person that will be a point of contact for this program? Or is that yet to be determined?
It'll be, I believe we have 1.5 people, is how we're looking at making that happen, one person for one area. I haven't really pulled out exactly who I want to be in those areas, still kind of making sure we got the right people, because this is gonna be that important for us.
Will property owners, homeowners that are interested in participating in this, will they just send will there be like a form on the city's website that they can fill out? Or what is the actual nuts and bolts of how somebody can contact the city to say, hey, I would like to have some assistance in fixing my home?
Well, this is for code enforcement.
Okay,
And what we were doing before was just a stick. Now we have a carrot to say, you have these issues that are wrong, but now we have the ability to fund some improvements for the home as well.
right,
And that's what we need to work on. So we'll be notifying all the people within the targeted areas. There are 3 that were established. And let them know that there are some programs available. And we'll go out and meet with them, see what we come up with. But it's not much like the housing rehab program that we have, which is pretty much a first-come, first-served program.
so this will be limited to people who currently have a building code violation, whatever the right term is, violation assessed to them, and then we're gonna reach out and say, hey, you have this building code issue, we know you do because we sent you a letter saying you gotta fix it? Or can this be anybody that fits the area and the income levels can reach out and say, hey, I need my roof fixed?
Well, that program, hey, I need my roof fixed, is when people reach out, that's more the housing rehab program.
Okay,
This has been designed because we had a stick. All we're doing is finding people and taking them municipalities, and a lot of these people don't have the money to fix the violations.
right,
And we were only providing a stick, no carrot. And this right here is now is a carrot to go forward to say, we have these violations, we found them, we understand that, you're low to moderate income, you qualify, now we can help you with some assistance.
So it's not so much something that people can proactively contact the city and say, I would like to participate in this program, but it's more so when they are identified as having a violation, we say, hey, you have a violation, you could use this tool?
Correct. The first instance you're talking about, hey, I have something, I want to fix my house up, That's been established for many years, the housing rehab program. That's been in existence, and we have a huge waiting list for that. This is designed for, you have violations, we've been out, and you're unable to really fix them, but we have a way to help you get to that point.
Could somebody theoretically call inspections on themselves so that they could have them come out and cite a violation and then be able to use this program?
Theoretically, someone could probably call on themselves and.
I'm gonna do that for my constituents that want to participate in this. Okay, cool. That's good clarification to have, because I have a number of people in Greenbush that are saying, hey, when's this live? I want to be able to take advantage of this to fix up my porch or whatever building code violation they have. But if it's not so much like if you know you have an issue and you want to get it fixed, if it's not that, and more so wait until you get hit with a violation, then it
Then they
kinda
should have been,
changes.
then they should have been contacting us for the housing rehab program that's been around for many, many years,
All right.
operating in those neighborhoods.
I don't have a phone.
Well, then, I imagine it's on the city's website for the housing rehabilitation program?
That's Anna Maria.
All
Okay.
right.
Are there any other comments or questions? If not, roll call, please.
Alderman Keenan.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes,
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item number 29.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the repair to the right-of-way parking at 321 21st Street at an estimated cost of $33,000 to be paid from the downtown TIF.
Move to approve the repair as recommended, direct staff to work with legal counsel to draft a development agreement between Pat Stawley for maintenance of the area and authorize execution of the development agreement by the city manager.
second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments?
Question, please.
Yes, sir.
I'm not familiar with the business or the gentleman named here, but it says he will maintain the section used for parking in perpetuity. Is he the business owner or property owner? Both? Okay. I didn't have any questions for you, sir. I just wasn't sure the relationship between him and the property.
It's the same agreement we had with D-Films last year, I think.
The films I'm more familiar with.
Yes, it is the same agreement, and Mr. Stoley owns both the building and has a business inside the premises. There's more than one business in the building.
And is that little park that they want?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm
It's not
familiar with
the
the,
park.
I'm familiar with the street. I just wasn't familiar with the business or the gentleman.
Correct, yes. There's the studio downstairs, and Ragged Records has a Rock Island location on the second floor.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Keenan.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes,
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays, motion carried.
Item number 30.
Report from the Community and Economic Development Department regarding the third extension of the agreement with Saratoga Capital for the renovation of the property located at 1701, 1705 Second Avenue.
Move to accept the new proposed dates in the third extension of the agreement with Saratoga Capital as recommended and direct the city manager to execute the contract extension subject to any city attorney modifications.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Before we vote on this, though, the council has previously approved an extension in June. We approved an extension to December 31st. Am I correct on that, city manager?
That's correct.
So this motion, as I understand it, is for the extension. If it does not pass, then I would assume that the board or the council would rely on its previous approved agreement with the developer?
That would be correct, and that wouldn't just be the December 31st date. I believe the December 31st date was the financial closing, and there were some other dates that were also continued at the, so we'd be bound by the agreement in June, in my opinion. But I think there were a couple of other dates as well. It was, I think, financial closing by the 31st, and then some of the other dates were also moved out if the 31st of December date was met.
Okay.
Right, so this is not a new extension, it's the same one, it's just a changing of the dates. if council for some reason did not approve it, as Mayor Pro Tem Poulos said, then it would revert back to what's already been approved by council.
Is there someone here from the developer that would like to speak to address the council on this?
Could I say a few things before that, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I would just like to request clarification. So we are, by the nature of the agreement, extending the dates, but I understand it much more to be just a better defining of what we mean by some of the dates in the agreement, right? Like, well, what do we mean by you gotta be open and ready for business before the city will provide its incentives to the developer, right? Am I correct in understanding that the previous extension that the council passed back in June, when was that?
In June.
It was in June, that was never signed. Is that correct?
Correct.
Right, so even though the city council passed a motion to simply extend the contract, it was never executed by our staff. And it has been bogged down by both parties wanting to change some of the language of the original contract. So it's not as if, I would just like to make it clear to everyone, it's not as if, oh, nobody's been doing anything on this, and they look at now another 3 months later, what do you know, somebody, they show up wanting another extension as if they're dragging their feet or not doing something. There has been constant deliberation and communication between the developer and city staff on trying to come to some new language on the contract that was never even part of what the city council, the motion that we passed in the first place.
Sam?
So, well, come on.
Was there any, and I guess my question is, was there an attempt to further that initial agreement, to get it signed or to get it sent to the developer so it could be signed?
It was prepared in June of 2019, and I believe that our office sent it to the city, I think it was the 27th of June of 2019. And then as far as it being forwarded, I guess, Randy, do you know what date that was forwarded to the developer?
We approved it on a Monday, and we forwarded it on that Thursday. And then there's been negotiations then back and forth on the specific language since then.
The exact same contract as what the previous development agreement was, with just the dates scratched off and written in the new dates. That was what was forwarded to the developer.
I don't remember the initial language. It wasn't just the initial agreement, it was just an extension, a one-page extension.
It did have language that said, it repeated the conditions for repayment of TIF appropriate funds, if that's what you're asking. It did have that language in it.
Right, so I guess there has been some confusion, I believe, among the council that that the past 3 months or whatever it's been since the last extension, well, you've had 3 months, what have you been doing? Well, for the past 3 months, on both parties' side, we have been trying to come to some conclusion, as a partnership does, because again, we are partners in here to try to get a job done, to try to come to some agreement so that then we can move forward with this project. So I just want to make that clear. Second point, I called the Rock Island County Assessor's Office today, and all of the delinquent taxes have been paid on the property. That is an issue also that has been of some confusion. But I personally called the Rock Island County Assessor's Office, and all of the back taxes have been paid on it, which I believe Sam said back in the June meeting as well. So with that, this is in my ward. I have worked extensively on this project. It is a complicated, convoluted project. Ask Davenport how long Hotel Blackhawk took. If you would like, sit down with Sam and ask him about all of the surprises and landmines that he, from the private sector, has experienced, having nothing to do with the city's portion of the agreement. but it is a very complicated project. And so I guess I'll open it up to the rest of the council and to Sam, but I'm very confident. The city staff is recommending that we pass this extension, correct?
That's correct.
Right, so I would appreciate the support. Thank you very much.
You care to address the council?
Sure. I mean, thank you very much for having me here. I'm Sam Eastup with Saratoga Capital. I would echo what Alderman Parker, how he kind of characterized that. I think, in my opinion, just being one party to the contract, of course. I can speak for myself, but in my mind, the time between June and now, the time between the original dates that were approved and the dates that are in this agreement reflect the 3 months that both parties worked on the agreement. So I think that's exactly the way I look at it, that, you know, both parties were engaged, working diligently, and it took, like, you know, this project does, it's a good example of, you know, working through whatever, 3 or 4 issues, but 3 or 4 important issues. Took a little bit longer than expected, where then those dates that were approved in June seemed too tight. I think both parties agreed. So I think we're back here, but that would be, Randy, that would be the technical issue of the dates were approved in the original vote. They were date specific. It wasn't go work on an extension, mutually agreeable dates. It was, I believe, is that correct?
That's correct.
Right. So because those dates were specified, we're back here, so
Right.
And you're still,
that's my understanding.
and you're still excited about the project.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, I mean,
Fine.
nothing good happens for me while I'm just negotiating and things like that, right? I'm dying to get this agreement in my hand and keep moving, so.
Yeah, I mean, is there, I'm not a developer, but enlighten me as to, is it challenging to secure financing when the partner for the project, you don't even have the finalized agreement with the partner? I mean, I can imagine that would be complicated, right? I mean, there's sort of a process here, and it would occur to me that first step is to get your partner in the deal to have the agreement, and then you can go out to the lenders or whomever and say, hey, look, here's the plan. Will you invest in this? I mean, is that a fair?
Yeah, I mean, do I wish all financial institutions took a real estate developer at his word that it's going to be a beautiful project, they have great partners, the bank lined up, we're going to have this agreement, but that's not enough to underwrite a project. So to answer your question, it's impossible.
Alderman
Because
Parker,
until we can answer the question that, you know, we have an agreement, we don't have one.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
So, in the document, it says that by the 30th of March, you will acquire the property. On June 24th, I asked you 4 times, who owned the property? Do you own the property? And you said yes.
Correct.
Okay, but then
Yeah.
why do you have to acquire the property if you already own it?
We don't.
Then why do you have to have an extension to March to acquire the property?
It's an actual
No,
extension to close on the financing on the
Okay,
property.
and then,
That's,
so that
that's
brings
the
me to the other
clarification.
part. Part of your
That isn't my
financing is new
language.
market funds, which
Right.
won't be paid out till May or June. So how are you gonna acquire the financing in March if the new market funds are not awarded till May or June? Are we gonna be back here in December or March because you need another extension because you don't have funding? I guess my concern is, and I'm really sorry to say this, I think you lied to us, and I don't appreciate it. And we were pretty binary at that June meeting that there would be no more extensions. And here we are 3 months later, asking for an extension. And in my opinion, the questions I asked you were really kind of shaded with answers.
Okay, so can I have a chance then to, what were those questions that you felt?
Well, it was just, you know, I asked you if you, I mean, it was just the whole demeanor of the whole thing. It was just like an answer for everything, and I feel very, very strongly.
Well, that's a
if there
pretty
were things
huge
that were coming up,
accusation.
if there were things coming up in June that we're gonna delay this 3 months, you should have notified us of them. You should have said, hey, there might be some issues moving forward, and I'm totally against this, I'm sorry, but I just don't feel.
The delay was caused by our staff.
Was it caused by our staff?
Yes, we just confirmed that.
Didn't our staff
This isn't
send the
another
document out in a timely manner?
No, not one that did not include more than just scratch off the date, here's the new date.
I mean,
There
That
was
was the agreement, though.
negotiations. That was what the city council passed, but
Well,
that
that
is
was our
not,
agreement, June 24th.
that was not what occurred, though.
I think
That
there
is
were a
why
lot that
it's
didn't
taken
occur.
3 months to get to here, to where we can finally come to some agreement. It's not,
Well, first you're saying it's city staff's fault, but 2 seconds ago you said it was on both sides of it, so.
well, yeah, originally there was some modification. The developer came back and said, well, if you want to change that, let's change this. And then it went back and
So
forth
why
for 3 months.
why weren't those changes brought up June 24th? That's what I don't understand.
Ask our staff.
No, our staff put a document out, and then it came back with changes. So when it came back with those changes, why were those changes not shared on the June 24th meeting that we had, where I spent an hour and a half on the phone? All of us were, I don't know what the right term was, but talked to about this. If those changes were so important that they needed to be included after the fact, why were they not brought up June 24th?
The same could be said from the developer's side of things. If we wanted to change some definitions or terms of the agreement, why didn't we do that before?
Can I
the June
make a
meeting?
comment?
Yeah, by all means.
So I apologize that you felt that any information that I gave was less than direct, but I'm here now, and I mean, if I can get the specific issues, I'll do maybe a better job from my point of view. But in the simple terms, you know, I don't think I've ever been a part of a complex business deal where, you know, the first draft of an agreement just nails. You know, there are 2 parties involved. There are a lot of issues. I think at the last vote, Randy was on the record saying, you know, there are a lot of dates that there's going to be a chain of event here. I think that's on the record. And that's what the discussion was about. So on June 24th, we had not addressed those issues because they hadn't come up. Just kind of the way that Randy made a mention of. So I don't even know that I would call it a negotiation. I don't know that we were negotiating deal points. There's just a lot to go through.
No, we were definitely negotiating deal
Oh,
points
I'm
for
sorry, in
extension.
the last 3 months. These weren't new deal points that are in this agreement. These are,
On the issue, I guess, of staff, it's my recollection of the timing was that I believe was on the 27th, as Randy was saying, the Thursday, that agreement was sent out. It did have the, I think there were 5 conditions for TIF as far as payout in that. I'm not sure, I think the response was received from the developer, I think end of July, possibly, maybe August, I'm not sure. I think that's the timing.
Does that answer your question? Because Alderman Spargettis has a comment or question.
Yes, I have 2 questions, one for Mr. Estes and one for the city manager. Are you satisfied with the language in the contract or agreement now, and are you willing to sign it
oh yeah,
as it is?
yes.
And Randy, is the city willing to do the same?
We are, or we wouldn't have brought it forward.
Let's vote.
That's all I need to know right now.
Thank you.
Let's vote.
Any other questions or concerns? I had one, if I may, and if my recollection is wrong here, please correct me, but it was my understanding that we were supposed to have some report on financing on this project by the end of summer. You had a plan that this was how it was going to be financed, and do you have that plan?
So I need the
So,
agreement.
I know that you said that you had to have the signed contract
Right.
in order to get the financing, and I understand that. But that was supposed to be done by the end of summer, and we're here at the end of September. And do we have any plans? Do you have anyone that is saying, yes, once you get this document signed, we're ready to go?
Yeah, I mean, we have all the discussions that we're in, you know, I'm trying to hold all these discussions together until we have the agreement. It's not a very complicated scenario,
So
so I
you
want to
have
be
somebody
very
that's ready,
careful.
you have somebody that's ready to finance you once the agreement is signed, is that correct?
Well, given the fact that I was accused of being a liar tonight,
I'm not
Sounds
asking
like
about
you're-
that.
I'm not gonna answer that question.
Well, it sounds like
because
you're kind of dancing around the subject
I'm not
here right
dancing
now.
around
I
anything.
think he's just trying not to.
I'm trying to be careful.
I'm just
We're
trying to
not
ask a
trying to
very
set
simple
you up
question.
for anything.
If you have somebody that is ready to finance you once the document is signed, that's great.
If we.
I've been doing this for 22 years, and I know how to get a project financed. There's nothing to suggest that I don't know what it means to say we have parties to the financing, or, I mean, isn't that kind of, am I not credible in that respect? So I guess what I would ask is, given the disconnection here, possibly, I'm not sure what you're asking.
My question is very simple. We were promised that there would be financing available. You needed the contract signed with the extension date of December 31st. That was my understanding back in June.
Right.
And the deadline that you would have financing, once that was signed, okay, now, it wasn't signed, but once that was signed, would be the end of September, or the end of summer, with no definite date, and I think all of us here could be flexible on that definite date, end of summer. You're saying that you do have somebody that is ready to sign or ready to finance it once the document is signed, and we already had agreed upon December 31st, so if that date was used, would that person or persons or business still be willing to go through with the financing once that was signed?
I think that's why we have the March 30th deadline in
I'm
the
sorry.
contract.
Can I,
I think that's why we have the March 30th deadline for securing the financing in the agreement.
Well, if the financing is ready to go, then we should
That's
have
a-
it by December 31st.
It's a I mean,
I
the
mean, okay,
March
so,
30th is the
so in all
latest.
honesty, if you want this to pass, then the financing and everything needs to be secured by December 31st. If everything is ready to go, with a signed document, you have people ready to go with your financing, there should be absolutely no reason why the financing cannot be secured by December 31st.
I don't think that that's how it works. But that's okay.
Well, if it's a project you really want, I'm guessing you can make it work.
Okay.
Are there any other questions from council members?
can I just make one observation? I mean,
Yes, sir.
when I was having a discussion with you guys in June, you know, I was also assuming that, you know, we would have, I don't know, maybe next week, we would have an agreement. So of course, I'm thinking in my mind by the end of summer.
Sure.
But I was assuming that we would have the agreement.
Sure. And our staff sent the agreement out within a week after that meeting. Why it wasn't turned back in, even with the corrections, is not, you can't put that on the fault of the staff.
I don't
Had the,
put it on the fault of anyone. I'm not sure.
okay,
what
well, I
all
was
of
just
the
making
angst
sure that,
is.
that we had a clear understanding, because an accusation was, you know, that it was the staff's fault that it wasn't done. And I think that was a fair, or an unfair statement, just as much as I think that, you know, maybe some of our expectations were a little bit, I don't want to say unfair, but we're holding true with what we understood the agreement to be. And if, again, fellow members here, if I'm out of line here, please let me know, but what our understanding, what the agreement was to be, was that financing would be ready at the end of the summer. All I was asking is, and I trust you at your word, that you were gonna move forward on this. You've been doing this for 20 years, so that having that financing available, once that agreement was signed, was gonna be a doable project. Understand it was gonna take some time. We still have 3 months before the end of the year. If, and speaking for myself, I can't speak for other council members, if it was signed for December 31st, we went with that agreement, and you came back to council and said, I need X number of days to get this done, I would be more than happy to listen to you. And I would be more than happy to be favorable to your request. But I just don't see, from what I've seen, I just don't see that the process is coming along as we were led to believe. I'm not saying it's your
Which part
fault.
of the
I'm not saying
process?
it's, I'm not putting fault on anybody. I'm just saying that it is not the way that I felt I was led to believe, and I can't speak for the other council members.
Have you called the developer? Have you visited the developer? The staff, which you trust to make these, assessments of what's going on, are making the recommendation to support this extension. I have. I've called Sam several times. I visited him in St. Louis with his financing team to discuss this project. I would respectfully ask you to work with Mr. Eastep to get this project done in downtown Rock Island. This is gonna take a long time. We want to be partners with the development community. This is part of the process.
And the only thing I'd like to add is, and he would like to come to Rock Island, so let's keep that invitation there. He still wants to come. This seems like something easy that should just pass tonight.
If
So
I didn't want to, I wouldn't
You
sign
wouldn't be
the,
here.
boy,
This
this would be a perfect time to
Walk away.
to exit stage left. I mean,
Yeah, and-
I wouldn't be fighting for the project. I've got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in the project. This is the process. The process has to kick into gear, and this agreement is a key part of that. So, please keep that in mind.
Okay,
Thank you.
absolutely, please.
So the extension was meant to be 6 months after it was signed. We assumed it was be signed right away. So it is logical that, given the delay in signing, that you would tag 3 months onto what you additionally had approved back in June. I don't think it's unreasonable. So that was the intent of the original agreement, was 6 months after signing, to give 6 months to actually work with the signed document to arrange the financing and close on the project.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then is it my understanding then, if it is passed, then that 6-month date is a solid date? It is no longer a floating date?
It is not, because we both now have agreed on the language up front. I hadn't anticipated it would take this long, but the language, ironing language out does take some time, so.
Alderman Spargatus.
One last comment from me. Even though the process has been fraught with some problems and some obstacles, it seems like we're at a point where there's agreement between the developer and the city. I think it would be a big mistake to, cut the legs out from under, or pull the rug out from underneath the project now. I said something similar to that last time, and I'm saying the same thing now, because I really believe that approving this is, despite your feelings about one person or another, the best thing to do for the city of Rock Island, and hopefully you'll sign and we'll sign, and then you'll get your financing in order with the agreement in place. So I'll be voting to support the extension.
Very good.
Are the members ready to vote?
Yes, please.
Roll call, please.
Alderman Guiney.
Aye.
Hurt.
No.
Spargattis.
Yes.
Swanson.
No.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
No.
3 ayes, 3 nays. Motion doesn't carry.
Sorry, Sam.
Move on. Item number 31.
Report from the Traffic Engineering Committee regarding a request from Dave Nucky, principal of Longfellow Elementary School, for a bus parking-only space on the west side of 42nd Street adjacent to Longfellow School between 7th Avenue and 8th Avenue.
Motion to approve the request as recommended and refer to the city attorney for an ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I would say that this is a partnership between a private contractor who is willing to donate some of the materials and labor So I commend him, actually two businesses in Rock Island, working together to get this taken care of, so that the drop-off point is safe for this, well, for the children that are riding the bus. And commend both the Parks, our Street Department and our city staff that went down there and had that meeting with the school. So this is a pretty good partnership. Any other questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Geenan.
Aye.
Hurt.
Yes.
Brigadis.
Yes.
Swanson.
Yes.
Parker.
Aye.
Pulis.
Aye.
6 ayes, no nays. Motion carried.
Item number 32, other business.
Yes, I'd like to make a quick comment. First of all, I would like to thank John Grip and the Rock Island Parks and Rec Department, as well as all the volunteers that helped out in this past Thursday's United Way of the Quad Cities Day of Caring for 3 of our parks in town here. So just a big thank you to them.
And I guess I'll tag team off of that and say that the cleanup last Thursday at the United Way of Caring was a huge success. I stopped by 4 different locations. And I would thank Arc of the Quad Cities and NPC 11 for their part in organizing the cleanup for 9th and 11th Street.
Well, I would like to let the citizens know that this last weekend with the Illinois Municipal League Conference, Alderman Parker, Alderman Hart, myself, and our city clerk, as well as our city attorney, attended and received some very good training. It was very enlightening, and we had some questions answered on issues that are going to be facing us here in the very near future. So that was a worthwhile weekend. Any other?
To thank the PTA for Dankman Elementary School. Their new playground is up and running and a huge asset to folks in the 7th Ward. And also thank you to Randy and Judith and the Chief Yerke for coming out to the 7th Ward Block Club party and ward meeting. One of the biggest complaints that was on Facebook and Nextdoor was not many people heard about it. And so, Randy, we had a fun time. They had ribs and barbecue, and there's already talking about bringing bands next year. So I think we're on to something. It was fun.
Mayor Pro Tem Poulos, you had asked me earlier today to check on an issue regarding taxation on the marijuana
Yes.
law. So in doing that research, in July, the IML had put out a memorandum suggesting that municipalities pass an ordinance for the taxation of the retail sale of marijuana by no later than September 30th, and that is what they have noted in their proposed draft ordinance. I spoke with the city manager earlier today about this as well, and I called the Department of Revenue, and I said, do you need us to submit your ordinance or our ordinance and have it certified to you by September 30th? The person that I spoke to in the local taxing unit indicated that the law, as it is currently written, states that we need to have it in by June of 2020, and that would allow for collection in September of 2020. He indicated to me that for us to pick a date other than that, we don't know what might happen in the veto session. So it's my understanding in the veto session, it's likely that the state will recognize, wait a minute, we don't want to go from January until September without being able to tax for those areas that have retail marijuana sales starting on January 1st. But they don't know what date they might choose. The person I spoke to from the Department of Revenue said, on the other hand, for us to pick a date of September 30th, he thought was arbitrary because we don't know what is going to happen in the veto session. So I was not able to get a perfect answer for you. I was only able to find out that from the Department of Revenue's standpoint, they said, as it stands now, it's going to be June 20th, and it's going to change. They felt we would have an opportunity to have the ordinance passed, and I think we're going to do that in mid-October. From IML's standpoint, they said, we recommend September 30th, and they were not really able to give me a reason why they chose that date, but that was their suggestion. the city manager and I thought, well, perhaps there's a 90-day lead period that they have to have an ordinance before you can collect the tax. And the representative from the Department of Revenue told me that was not the case. So that's the best I can do for.
We are on schedule then, or at least scheduled to have that ordinance by mid-October?
That is correct. And according to the Department of Revenue, they indicated that they felt that that was in compliance with the law and that that would be sufficient. And he said that they did not feel they could guess what, if anything, the state would do to change a date so that it would become effective January 1.
Okay. Anything from,
No, I think we're good. We're unlikely to have anything before next summer in Rock Island, so we'll have the ordinance in place 9 months prior. Plenty of time. Plenty of time to make some tweaks to it, too, as the state law changes, which it probably will. So I think we'll be ahead of the game.
okay, any other questions from council? Need a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn until Monday, October 14, 2019.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.